she's so fine. Hell of her blows my mind. Hell of her lights my day.
What's good, guys? This video is going to be another update in the Mikayla Miller case. This came out at 4:13 p.m. Eastern Time. And I'm on Central Time, so it's roughly an hour and 30 minutes old. It's 5:44 p.m. Central Time now. It's coming from masslive.com, and the article was wrote by Jackson Coate. Mikayla Miller investigation. Ben Crump, high-profile attorney for Breonna Taylor and George Floyd's families, representing mother of Hopkinton girl found dead in woods. Truth and transparency. That's what a prominent civil rights attorney and the family of Mikayla Miller, the Hopkinton teenager whose death has swept the news and sparked questions among community members, are calling for in the girl's case. Attorney Ben Crump helped the families of Breonna Taylor and George Floyd, both black Americans killed at the hands of police, win multi-million-dollar settlements. Alongside the law firm of Colucci and Colucci, he's now representing Miller's mother, Calvina Strothers, who is seeking answers about her daughter's death. During a press conference held today, only hours after the Hopkinton Police Department released the 911 call made the morning Miller was found dead, as well as other records, Strothers said she, quote, isn't entertaining at all, end quote, the idea her daughter died by suicide. That determination was made by the Office of the Chief Medical Examiner on Tuesday. Quote, I want to be really clear that the only thing I want out of all of this is to find the truth, Strothers said through tears. The conclusion that they made yesterday is the conclusion they made the first day they walked into my house. There's no difference. But I know the truth, and it's not what they say, end quote. A jogger found Miller dead in the woods off a path on West Main Street around 7:45 a.m. Sunday, April the 18th. In the 911 call made that morning, the man initially told dispatchers the body he found hanging from a tree was that of a male.
Recorded, where's your emergency? 911, this is recorded. Where's your emergency?
Hey, Hopkinton, State 911 here. I have a call on the line. It's going to be West Main Street by the Golden Pond residential home. Do you have the ping on your map?
Yeah.
Okay.
See West Main?
Yeah, I have a caller on the line who believes that there is a deceased male hanging from a tree there.
Okay, we're on our way.
He's on the line for you.
Hi, sir.
Hi.
Hi, so is he in front of or in the woods at 35 West Main? Ryan?
Yeah.
35 West Main, possible deceased male hanging from a tree. 35 West Main, okay. So if you're coming down from Upton, is he on the right side of the road or the left?
The right side.
The right side.
35. At the greenhouse. Next to the greenhouse. Right before.
Next to the greenhouse. 35 West Main, next to the greenhouse. All right, I'm going to send both police and fire. I can do it. And I'm just going to stay on the line with you until they get there. Do you reside in that house or you just a pass-by?
I was just off a run.
Okay. What's your name, sir? What's your last name? Not a good way to start our Sunday morning.
No, not at all.
Not at all. Are you on the side of the road?
I'm in the middle of the woods. I'm like halfway to his body.
Okay.
The Office of the Chief Medical Examiner ruled the girl's death as suicide, listing, quote, asphyxia by hanging, end quote, as the cause. However, Strothers, other loved ones of the girl, and activists, including Ben Crump, former Boston City Councilor Tito Jackson, and community organizer Monica Cannon Grant, all of whom spoke during Wednesday's press conference, are questioning that determination and calling for an independent investigation into the death of Miller, who was black and a member of the LGBTQ plus community. Cannon Grant pointed out at Wednesday's press conference that minimal information was released by Middlesex District Attorney Marian Ryan's office to the public in the days following Miller's death, only that a Hopkinton teenager had died and foul play wasn't suspected in her death. Quote, "I would also like to thank the press, mainly because if it hadn't been for you, we wouldn't have any information in this case," Cannon Grant said. "I became involved with this case because there was absolutely no coverage from the very beginning, except for one small article, simply stating, quote, 'Death of a teenage girl found over the weekend. DA says no foul play is suspected,' end quote. A weird thing to say in a case that had yet to be investigated," end quote. Multiple weeks after the girl was found dead, as public scrutiny mounted, and the words, quote, "Justice for Mikayla Miller," end quote, were shared widely over social media, Ryan held a press conference in which she laid out a timeline of the events that led up to the teenager's body being discovered. The district attorney also promised transparency in the case and said there's no evidence leaning either way, suggesting her death was a hate crime. Quote, "Mikayla's death is an unspeakable tragedy for her loved ones and for the entire community of Hopkinton," Ryan said at the time. "From the beginning of this investigation, our investigators have been fully committed to determining exactly how Mikayla's precious and promising life ended," end quote. In the hours before Miller's death, on the evening of Saturday, April the 17th, she and two other teenagers got into a fight in the recreational area of the apartment complex she lived in, authorities said. 3 other teenagers, one of whom was in a relationship with Miller, were in and around the complex. All 5 individuals' whereabouts at the time the girl died have been confirmed, and they weren't in the area of 34 West Main Street where her body was discovered, officials noted. No arrests have been made in the case. After the fight, Strothers called the police to report that her daughter had been jumped. In an interview with officers, Miller said she had been pushed and punched in the face. A mark of blood was seen on her lip, consistent with what she told law enforcement, according to the district attorney. Quote, "We know that there are many questions, inconsistencies," Jackson said, also claiming that Ryan didn't reach out to Miller's mother until 12 days after her daughter's death. "One of the things that is indisputable is that Mikayla was assaulted by 5 other young people prior to her death, within hours of her death. That is indisputable, and we know to date those individuals have not been charged," end quote. Those who spoke during Wednesday's press conference also claimed Miller's body was discovered standing upright with a belt tied around her neck that was tied to a tree. They argued it was neither tall nor sturdy enough to withstand her body weight and that the belt didn't belong to either the teenager or her mother. Pointing to reporting from NBC Boston, Cannon Grant added that video cameras usually operating in the clubhouse of the apartment complex Miller lived in weren't working the night she died. Quote, "The camera footage was not available," the activist said. "This is a very high-end apartment complex, so the likelihood of the camera footage mysteriously disappearing is unlikely. There have been so many inconsistencies in this case going forward, which is the reason behind demanding an independent investigation and accountability and transparency in this case," end quote. Crump, whose legal accomplishments include winning $12 million and $27 million settlements for the families of Taylor and Floyd, respectively, also echoed Cannon Grant, Jackson, and Strothers' calls for transparency in the investigation into Miller's death. Quote, "To Calvina, I far too often am talking to the parents of young black people who have been killed in unbelievable ways, who leave this earth without any answers," the civil rights attorney said. "So we are trying to get transparency, which is paramount," end quote. Calling Miller's death, quote, "highly suspicious," end quote, Crump said he and others want to see the basis of law enforcement and the medical examiner's conclusion that her death was a suicide. Quote, "Mikayla's mother and her family do not believe that she committed suicide, especially being found standing upright, not hanging, and a belt tied around her neck. It defies common sense," end quote, the lawyer said. He noted there's, quote, a national community of people who care about the life and dignity of black people, end quote, and who are invested in Miller's case. Quote, if it was your child, wouldn't you want to know the truth? Wouldn't you want every I dotted, every T crossed, end quote, Crump said. So I just wanted to bring this new updated information to the channel, especially the 911 call. And like I said, I'm all over this, and nothing is going to stop me from continuing to fight for justice for Mikayla Miller. Thanks for watching, guys. Have a great day.